It's windy today, I hope you can hear me. Anyway, all these birds. Starley's on death row. Both of these cars were affected by the Takata recall. And they're both 98 models and they're both going straight to the crusher. And probably if I send them off 6 months from now, they will become new Whirlpool washing machines or fridges. Right, so we're in a pickle. Oddly enough, that red car, it doesn't look as good as the blue one, but the red one's a much better car. It's actually quite quick. It's a very clean revver. I blew away a 1.8 litre Corolla twice at the traffic light Grand Prix. Only up to 80 kilometres an hour, that's what the speed limit was. Absolutely nailed it. It shouldn't do that because it's 500cc smaller, but a hell of a lot lighter. That's a much better car. It's very tight, it doesn't squeak, it doesn't bang, knock, carry on, anything. It's a really, really good car. This is the one that I wanted to keep because it's the 2-door one, the 3-door one, and my mum can fit in. The door's a lot longer and the seat height's good, and she doesn't have any problems, and her mobility is absolutely limited. Let's have a look at Rosie's paint job. Sorry about this wind, I can't do much about it. Here she goes. Didn't Rosie do a stunning job? The point is though, it's a completely different colour, but we sort of blended it in as best we could. There's runs in it, but I did the runs. That's not her fault. But I'm absolutely thrilled with it. She did a good job. It's a pity it's going to the crusher. Well, at the moment, we'll see. But, well, there's a mark on that door. But it's turned out very, very well. Bearing in mind, this was all chipped off and delaminated. I don't think that's a long... I don't think that's the correct way to do it. It was very, very quick and very dodgy the way we did it. But I think it looks really, really good. It's worked well. So there's a couple of options with regard to these two, and I think it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to discuss them now and just see what we come up with. G'day and welcome. Well, it is 5:45 in the morning, and I'm never normally up this early, but I fell asleep on the couch last night and got up at about 3. Okay, I'm sorry I haven't had content lately. I've had, no kidding, about $5,000 worth of bills. Had to go to the dentist, $2,000. Have to have a plate. And the air conditioner packed up in the house, that was another $1,000. And I've had to have a plumber out. He's a friend of mine, but I haven't been billed yet. He's got a business, so I don't know what he's going to charge. And a few other bits and pieces, some registrations, and yeah, it's just been mammothly expensive. Right? No, what do? It just happens like that. Normally in January over the holidays I get lots and lots of work out. I'm still sort of mucking around with Dave's van, and I've got a video on that coming up, and there's a bit more stuff on the Falcon, the XC I've got to do, but I haven't done it yet because I need some parts. But the bit that's... Okay, so last video we had Rosie painting the front of the little Toyota. And I thought that was a good one. She got a kick out of it, and I buffed it out, and it looks beautiful. She did a cracking job, and it matches well, even though it's the wrong colour. It's blended really, really well. Now, I wasn't going to do any more videos on those, because they're sort of YouTube suicide, doing the Starleys, but got a problem. Got a big problem. And got a letter from Toyota. This file, that's got my address on it. We got ourselves 2 cars with Takata airbags. And they send this letter out, it's got some information where you can take the car back to. And they come in envelopes which have a picture of an airbag blowing up and all this sort of stuff. So that was something I kind of expected, because when I looked them up in the Takata airbag video I did, they were Inflation Systems in Moses Lake, Washington, and it was the same address, and I thought, oh. Now, I also said in that video that this isn't going to be the end of it. There's going to be a stack more cars, and I can't see remedies for a lot of them because they're early, like AE112R Corollas and that sort of stuff. I reckon they're going to pull them off the road. Now, one reason for that is we've got coronavirus, and we've got all the bushfires and the economies. They're talking about a recession could happen, that sort of stuff. And by culling a heap of cars, throws a lot of money back in the economy. I mean, that's just me surmising. It might not happen like that. I don't know. But I took one out, and built this little brick housing for it, put a mattress over the top of it, put another mattress against the shed. It was up against the shed at the back, ran some speaker wires and detonated it. And this one didn't do anything. That's the spare I had in the shed. So that leaves me in a jam, because the original airbag, what do you call it, alpha airbag thing, is the deadline for recalls is December, and then they're going to start pulling regos. I don't know if I've got till December with these two cars. They're good cars, they drive beautifully, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're tainted with this VIN number which has a Takata airbag tied to it. So, don't really know what to do. I've looked at other small cars, because I need a small car with a wide door for my mum, because she's very, very limited mobility, and she can get in and out of those because the seat's up against the sill, if you know what I mean. It's right to the edge, and it's got a wide door so she can get in, where the more modern, safer cars, they have bolsters on the seats, and the seats further away, you know, that sort of thing. The doors are wider and that sort of stuff, and she can't get in them. So I don't really know what to do. The only thing I can think of is getting an earlier car, like a 96, 97. They don't have airbags in them, so they're not affected. Anything that was produced with an airbag, was, despite the body being the same, isn't going to be usable. So, don't know. There's nothing much different about the shells. They're pretty much identical. They've got a spot welded carrier for the SRS computer in them. They've got, the earlier cars are sort of flimsier in the front end, just on the lower control and rear mount. The later ones are beefier, and the wiring is different on them. The early cars, the wiring goes into the firewall, where the later ones, it sort of comes in the side underneath the front guards. They've got slightly bigger holes there for the fatter looms, because they don't go through the firewall. There's other bits and pieces. The carriers for the pedals are different. The crash bar, that long exhaust looking thing that runs the width of the car, behind the dashboard's different, and that's how your pedals and everything are mounted. They're all different. The steering column's different. The power steering racks do fit in the early cars, but you've got to use all the later odds and ends to fit them in. I can't think of anything else. The wheels are different. They're the same size, but a different pressing. They're the same offset, the same diameter, same width. But the earlier ones are painted silver with different pressings, and they've got a little plastic hubcap, and the later ones are black with little round holes and a hubcap on, like a full wheel cover. There's bits and pieces like that, colour-coded bumpers, different colour schemes, different vinyl, it's sort of darker on the inside, and different trim. Headlining and carpet's different, the carpet's a different weave, and it's a bit sort of darker and bluer. There's all these sorts of little differences, but the car's basically the same. So, look, it might end up, the only good thing I can think out of this, well, there are good things, you know, about it, but the thing that sort of stares me in the face is you can get a really shabby one and the body will be fine. They're galvanised, they don't rust. So you'd be really, really unlucky to get a body that's buggered on one, unless it's been smashed, but you can see that before you buy it. So I might try and get an earlier car and just swap some stuff over. I'll swap the engines and gearboxes over and stuff like that, but it'll have to be sort of most of the original car still there. Otherwise, it's a reshell. And if you look on Vic Road's site, they've got write-offs that are like they're a full write-off if they've fire damaged, or there's water being, you know, they've covered themselves in water, or there's water got inside the interior and that sort of stuff. Excess damage, structural damage, but also stripping is one of them. So you can't just go to the wreckers and get a shell and swap everything over like you used to be able to do. I did that with the Tirana in the 80s after I wrote one off. But yeah, I don't know. Might have to do something like that. If anyone knows of a 96, 97 Starley 3-door, doesn't matter if it's auto or manual, because I'll make it a manual, let me know. But yeah, look, there's a bit on that, and that's about it. I've got some more content coming, but until I can get some money, what do you do? Anyway, hope you enjoy. Right, so this is our spare one out of the shed, the cupboard. This is out of the red car that was pranged many years ago, and that's on a thing. Hang on a minute, I want to get that connector off. And basically, I've had this from brand new. This is Inflation Systems, so it doesn't say Takata on it, but it does fall under the NADI category, as in the non-desired driver inflator. So I don't think it's not the same category. It's an amino tetracyte, so it's the AT, but it's not the 5. This is a 1 to 4, and these weren't on the list, but I need to see what it's going to do. So if I can prise that plug off. So I think what we need to do, this looks to be in absolutely lovely condition. Now what they're talking about with the faulty ones is the tape that's inside these holes. I can't see, I'm wearing safety goggles at the moment. Of course there's our airbag there. So this is not going to become useless. The car's not roadworthy if I was to put it in a car, but we're not going to do that. I just want to see, I'm going to take my goggles off for a minute, put some reading glasses on, get my magnifying glass. That has tape in it, and that looks fine. This seals moisture from getting into the unit. I think that's a good one. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do think it would make for interesting viewing if we blow it up. I've got a screwdriver stabbed in the ground for an earth. I don't want static electricity. And I'm just going to get rid of some of this wire. I've got a connector here. Those bloody birds are annoying. Alright, so we've got a... I wonder if I can put that in and have the wires poking out the back. Just earth myself against there first. I might go and get my goggles, just a moment. Oh, I've hurt my knee, I've got some inflammation going on. I'm just earthing myself against there. I'm just going to plug that in. How do you plug it in? Goes like that, I think. Right. Now I've got a nice big mattress to go over the top. Oh, I might just do it that way. And we'll stick the camera around there. And earth myself and earth the wires. These were all in a bunch, so there's probably a bit of static generated from, you know, unwinding them and so forth. I just don't want any opportunity for this thing to go off when I don't want it to go off. Right, I think that's alright. We'll get the mattress, reposition you guys, and set him off. Let's go do this. Well, that was unpleasant. That's the noise it made. Right, it looks pretty hot. I think I'll just give it time to cool down. Let's put the mattress and everything away. It's very hot by the look of it. Look at it. God, the heat that came out of that. Like, the bricks are warm. God. Grass is fried. That's unpleasant. Just going to let it sit there and cool off for a bit. And we'll come back to it. Gee, pretty ugly stuff. And you can see the heat that's come off it. All the holes are open now. Okay, so far so good. I can smell burning plastic. That'll be that little insulated there. Right, well, 20 minutes has passed and that is still really quite warm. I can handle it, it's not uncomfortable, but it's got a lot of heat in it. Actually closer to half an hour. You can see here the exhaust holes, the tape's gone. There was a sort of a, you couldn't see in there, where now you can see in there. That's all melted away. The connector obviously is alright. But there's a hell of a lot of power in that. But I thought, actually, when I first looked at it, I thought that was bulged a bit, but it's not. It's actually intact and it's fine. But you can see it's melted everything. That's a lot of heat. That's a hell of a lot of heat. And it's flash heat too, so it happens ultra quickly. But yeah, there you go. Deployed airbag inflator. Right, so time for an update and a bit of a rant. Found another car, another Starlet on the Gumtree this morning. $500 in Burwood, just up the road. And shabby looking thing, 97, I think, May 97. Perfect what I wanted. And the guy didn't have his number on Gumtree, so it was messaging through Gumtree, if you know what I mean, typed messaging. Can I come and have a look? And it was 4 o'clock by the time he was ready and I could get there. And so I went round there, had no money. I got my daughter to go up to the ATM and lend me $600. Because as I said, I've got all these bills at the moment, and the thing I forgot to mention was Suzanne's tyres on her Commodore had gone, so that's $600 or $700 as well. So I borrowed $600 off my daughter and went there, and the car was silver, delaminating, didn't matter, I don't care about that. I can blow over it with a nice paint job. It was an automatic, which doesn't matter because I've got 2 spare manual gearboxes here. Had a broken right-hand headlight, which didn't matter because I've got a spare one of those. Carpet was knackered, doesn't matter, I've got an almost new one I'm looking at now. It was perfect for what I wanted. It was absolutely perfect. It was a pre-airbag car, so that's cool. Anyway, I said to the guy, yeah, I'll take it. But he wanted the Vic Roads form for transfer of rego, even though it didn't have a roadworthy. You're not actually allowed to sell cars without a roadworthy that are still registered, but he was selling it, had a month's reg on it. And he wanted that notice of disposal thing. So I said, all right then. He couldn't download it at his place. His Wi-Fi wasn't working or something. I came back here and downloaded it and couldn't find a jump drive because our printer doesn't work either. I upgraded to Windows 64-bit and the Wi-Fi printer isn't connecting, and I tried to reload the drivers, that didn't work. So I downloaded the form, couldn't find a jump drive, so I went to Officeworks and said, can I download a Vic Roads form and print it? And they said, no, you can't download here. So I thought, bugger. So I bought a jump drive, came back home, put the file on the jump drive, went back to Officeworks, printed it out. No one's here that can take me there, so I called my brother, and he's taking the Polo, and I said, look, can I bring the Polo over, and can you give me a lift to Burwood? Yeah, no worries. Then I couldn't find the Polo's key. I was like, great. And then eventually found it, and couldn't close the bonnet, because we put new headlight and grille in, and the bonnet's bent down at the front, so I didn't want to damage the grille. So then I get back on to Gumtree, and he's sending messages, the car's sold. It's like, what? When I went round there the first time, I had the money, and I offered him the money. I pulled it out of my, I got $600 here, yeah, you can take that. And I just wanted the car. He goes, no, that's all right, I'll hold it for you. I said, well, at least take a deposit. He goes, don't worry, I'll hold it for you. Anyway, he's sending messages that he sold it. It's like, that can't be right. So I thought, maybe he's messaged the wrong guy, or, you know. So I went round there with the Vic Roads form, with the money, and he said the car's sold. Great. So that leaves me in a pickle. It's annoying because, as I said, I had a body shell which would have been fine, but threw it out, went to the crushers, so I need another one. And so if anyone watching this knows where I can get a 96, 97 Starlet, it has to be, I don't care what the spec is. This thing didn't have air or power steering, but I've got all that stuff here. It was an auto, as I said, that doesn't matter. I don't care the spec. It has to be a 3-door, and it has to be a 96, 97. That's all I need. So if you know of one, please let me know, because I'm sort of in a pickle and I need one. And it also would have made a little Sigma type series. So, you know, that was 6 months. I'd knock that over quicker because I wouldn't have to pull it apart as much. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Anyway, whatever the case, take good care of yourselves, enjoy your classic, and I'll see you soon. What do you reckon? She haven't. Jesus.